Now, many of you already know that Xiaomi has launched their first SUV called the YU7, which in terms of the orders inflow, it was so crazy, man. They have got like over 200,000 orders. I mean, they scored like over 200,000 orders in less than 10 minutes, which is something that shows you the kind of impact that brand is making in the fast growing EV space. I mean, it is with no doubt that Xiaomi is doing so well. I mean, with the SU7, which is the first model that they launched, I mean, that model did very well, or it's doing well alone in itself. And one, as a new investor, you would wish you can get some of this magic to come to Nio, especially to some individual models. Look, Nio is not doing that bad, but to see Xiaomi killing it with just few models, obviously as a new investor it makes you a bit jealous, right? But here is something very interesting. In as much as we are talking about Xiaomi YU7 getting these kind of orders, the CEO of Xiaomi has came out and said that look, they are not going to be able to deliver this many orders, and because of their production capacity, which will result into so many of the new orders coming, going to be delivered in a very long time, because you will have to remember that the supply chain constraints, these cars are not just built from material that is already available or that is readily available. The material still needs to be produced and all that, which that has got its own issues, which is why the reason why I'm doing this video. Xiaomi CEO came and said that those that cannot wait can buy Nio. The Xiaomi CEO just recommended Nio as a car that those that cannot wait for their deliveries, or are wanting to place an order still on the YU7 today, say that because it will take a very long time until they deliver or they commit in delivering that car, they recommend that they look into other brands like Nio, other brands. I think also Tesla was recommended, but to see our very own Nio recommended, it is something that is great, because it means that even the Xiaomi CEO knows about the good products Nio is making, which is why he is able to recommend those that are still ordering the YU7 today, because chances are very high, not even chances, I know it's not going to be possible for YU7 to be able to sell or to deliver even 200,000 of the YU7 this year, even probably even the first half of next year. It's not going to be possible, because there are things that needs to be considered, like the production capacity needs to grow and the supply chains need to improve, right? Like I said, these materials, or the materials that is being used to build these cars, is not always available. There are suppliers that also on their side, depending on the demand, they need to also upgrade their production capacity of the materials that are used to build these cars, which is something that is very good to see, or to know that the Xiaomi CEO out there, to the people that want to buy this YU7, he is recommending them to come to Nio, which this will make Nio to be able to do very well in the next coming months, right? Because in as much as people are interested in getting the YU7, they know that it's not going, or they are not going to get probably a delivery in at least 12 months, 6 to 12 months, which is why the next possible decision that they could make for themselves is to go and obviously go for buy a Nio, buy a Tesla, which we already know that Nio is also most preferred car over Tesla. Tesla Model Y, Tesla Model 3, those are mass market brands. Nio ES6, ET5 Touring, ET5 Mid Sedan, EC6, EC7, ES8, ES7, ET9. These are premium models, and you cannot compare them with Tesla Model Y, which is why Nio, they have made it clear, or they've said it to say that look, the direct competitor of Tesla Model Y, it is the Envoy L60. So when you talk about Tesla Model Y, you need to talk about the Envoy L60. You cannot talk about the Tesla Model Y and you talk about the Nio ES6. They are not in the same segment. Nio ES6 is premium, and Tesla Model Y you can it falls short, or it's below premium, right? That is why you cannot talk about ES6 and talk about a Tesla Model Y. When you talk about the ES6, you need to talk about the Q5 or the Q5. You need to talk about the Mercedes-Benz X3. At least you need to talk about those cars, right? Because then you are comparing apples to apples. Nio is premium, the same way as Mercedes is premium, the same way as BMW is premium. But then you've got Tesla. I'm not saying Tesla has got one or two models that are up there, right? Probably in the same range as Nio. I think Tesla Model S Plaid, that is a car that is obviously escalated, it's up there, but most of their models, they are mass market. Same as what you would see on Xpeng. Xpeng models are mass market, and you cannot really compare the mass market Mona 3 to Nio ET5 mid sedan or ET5 touring. You cannot do that because they are not in the same range, and you cannot compare the two, because even in terms of performance, in terms of technology, in terms of the safety features, in terms of the autonomous driving in that car, you cannot compare the two. Which is why when you talk about Xpeng, when you talk about some of these mass market new energy vehicle cars, you need to be talking about the Envoy L60, you need to be talking about the Firefly. At least those are the ones that you can compare or you can talk about. But anyways, to see the CEO of Xiaomi to come and now and say, look, if he would really recommend that those that are still placing orders on YU7, they reconsider and go rather and place, if they are really are looking at buying a car as soon as possible, they need to look or reconsider and go check some Nio models. Check, of course, he also mentioned Tesla. I would put it out there. This is something that is great, man, and it shows the kind of confidence that not only the Chinese consumers but other EV makers in the battlefield with Nio sees of the kind of products that Nio is making. It is for that reason that they can easily recommend Nio as an alternative to their very own brand, which is something that is great, something that is exciting. When I read this, I was very excited. I mean, blue sky is coming, long-term oil wind. Look, I'm not, YU7 it's a very beautiful car. SU7, it's a very beautiful car, and it is because of how the car looks like that makes it very most preferred in China, right? I mean, the design is just so amazing, so incredible, which is why even people are liking it so much, which is why it is able to attract so many people, right? I mean, in as much as, yes, we talk about technology, we talk about safety features, we talk about premium, right? But of course, how the car looks like do play a role, and this is what we are seeing onto Xiaomi. Yes, Xiaomi has got some good performance, great features and all that. Even got the LiDAR sensor, which is something that is good, right? But one thing that is making it to sell like cupcakes, it's how the car actually looks like. It has got that sporty vibe, man. And I think in terms of design, Xiaomi has got it right. The outlook, how the car actually look, they got a spot on, right? Which is something that is making them to do very well. And who knows, we could see also the next future models, even our very own Nio taking it to the next level in terms of look. Nio cars are very beautiful, classy, elegant, but always when you see how some other cars, but when you see Xiaomi cars, of course you can see that we need to also think about along those lines, upgrading in terms of, in as much as it's elegant, not to make it too complicated in terms of the designs, because you don't want to overdo it at the end of the day. But I think, of course, in order to capture as many people, I think we can, in the near future, I think we must think along also these lines, because the looks is what is making Xiaomi to do so well. And at the end of the day, this is what is making people like this car. Before we get to performance, before we get to the technology, but just how the car looks like. Tell me what you think about this. Blue sky is coming, long term will win. I remain long, I remain strong onto Nio because I know that blue sky is coming. I'll see you on the next one. That is all from me, and God bless you all.